Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadget. For all your kayak fishing accessory needs, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, coolers, and lighting. Go to pelican.com. The 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the 153anglers.com. Now let's get this show started.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast, where we are constantly trying to keep our thumbs ripped up. Tonight, got a really excited to have Shane on the show tonight. We're going to kind of go over kind of why we rigged our kayaks the way that we did. We got some pretty rigged out kayaks between both Shanes. We're just going to kind of dissect that and kind of give our thoughts about why we rigged it out the way that we did. So really excited to have him on, but kind of some housekeeping stuff. One cool thing about Paddle and Fin this year is that they're going to be doing the Fantasy League. So if you guys go to paddleandfin.com and you scroll to the bottom, you'll see a link where you guys could get signed up to do the Kayak Bass Fishing Fantasy League on Paddle and Fin through Paddle and Fin. They're covering KBF, Hobie, and Bass. So you'll be able to pick anglers and follow your anglers along this year and do like a full fantasy league. So make sure you guys go check that out. Pretty sure the link will be in the description, in the show description. So really excited about that. Another exciting announcement too is that the Paddle and Fin is going to be doing their Dale Hollow event out in Tennessee. It's going to be a 2-day event on Dale Hollow. Really excited about that. And I'm actually going to announce tonight that my wife and I are going to be flying out for that event and going to be going and fishing on Dale Hollow and joining the Paddle and Fin family out there. It'll be my first time in Tennessee and fishing Dale Hollow. And my wife's going to be with me too. Going to borrow some kayaks and just go have a blast out there. So it is on Tourney X right now. If you look up like just Paddle and Fin Dale Hollow event, you guys will be able to find that information. So if you guys are local to the area or you want to travel and come fish with us, the Paddle and Fin family will be there, putting on a great event. So more details to come on that, but kind of excited to be doing that this year with my wife and the Paddle and Fin family. Let's see what else is going on. So next weekend, or this weekend actually, in California, the CA Bass Nation Series kicks off at Shasta. It's going to be a 2-day event. They got around 70 anglers in both California Bass Nation and Wild West right now, the last time I looked, which is awesome. It's going to be a battle out there, and can't wait to have the winner of both those events on the show. Really looking forward to covering that series. Great opportunities for the anglers up there in NorCal and the whole state. The ABA Kayak Series down south is going to be kicking off their season opener at Lake Paris next weekend on February 12th and 13th. So really looking forward to that. There's a lot of opportunities coming as well that I can't share about yet. But this weekend, when you guys hear this, you might be seeing some things coming that may shock some of the California anglers, but I'm just going to leave it at that. We got a big national series coming down south. That's all I'm going to say. So be on the lookout for that. Excited to see what comes of that. So without further ado, that's enough of my intro. Let's go ahead and bring Shane on as well. Shane, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, good, buddy. How are you doing?
First off, Shane, what's up? I'm Shane.
I'm Shane, too. The two Shanes.
The two Shanes, the NorCal Shane and the SoCal Shane. So it's pretty funny. But man, I've been following you, especially this last year. You have a lot going on, and you're really well connected in the kayak community. And it's going to be really cool to have you on tonight and kind of pick your brain a little bit on one of the big things right now is like rigging kayaks. And I know that you just rigged out your PA-14. You did a really great job, and you did everything yourself, right?
Yeah, I did everything myself.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into it, but I'm still introing really quick.
Sure.
I get sidetracked sometimes, but the one question that I ask every single person on my show, the Bass Thumbs Fishing Show, our motto is keep your thumbs ripped. So Shane, have you in the past, have you ever maybe turned to your wife or your friends and maybe showed or bragged about how ripped up your thumbs are?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Are your thumbs currently ripped?
Not currently. No,
Not
it's been
currently.
about a week since I've been out. So
All right, so they've had time to heal, but your plan this weekend at Shasta is to definitely rip your thumbs up on those smallmouth, right? Or those spotted bass.
yeah,
Yeah.
smallmouth, spotted bass. Yeah, I'm excited, man.
All
I'm
right.
really excited to get out there.
Yeah, that's kind of like the icebreaker that I kind of try to ask every guest. But anyways, so kind of kicking things off, Shane, why don't you just kind of talk a little bit about who you are as an angler and maybe a little bit about how you fell in love with kayak fishing, and then we're going to get into the details of why you rigged your Hobie out the way you did. So let's just
Sure.
go ahead. Go ahead, man.
All right. Well, my name's Shane Jones. I'm from Northern California, up here about maybe an hour south of Sacramento. Um, I've been kind of fishing I've been fishing since I was a kid, but really bass fishing, probably about 15 years. I've been fishing on and off, but more seriously into tournament fishing, probably for about the last 4 years. I've been really tournament fishing. My first kayak I picked up was probably about 12 years ago, actually. I bought my first Jackson Big Tuna, and my buddy and he had I think a Kraken or a big rig. We just rigged those up and went out fishing, but the tournament scene wasn't quite there yet. There weren't that many tournaments out. So I kind of got out of it, got into more physical fitness and running, and that's a whole different story. But that took me out for about 5 years. And then I think it was probably around 2017 I started back into the kayak and then fishing in the tournaments. So, I just really enjoy it. I have a boat too. We go out into the boat, my kids, myself. I'm putting on a junior angler tournament circuit up here. It's called the Gold Country Bass Tour. It's to get kids out onto the water and tournament fishing. I'm involved with that. So I'm busy with that on my schedule and, trying to pull off another schedule for fishing for myself. So,
Yeah, that's super cool. So is it like how young are the kids that you do it for?
So the kids are kindergarten up to 17, so all the way into 12th grade. So,
Wow.
we have some kids. I think this year we have one that's in kindergarten, and we just
Is he
we just
throwing a
get
bait
out there.
caster?
Well, no, they're more spinning rods at that point, and it's
Yeah.
it's fun to watch them though. I mean, that's why I kind of
I just asked because you never know. You got some prodigy out there, just like kindergarten, just flipping and pitching.
Yeah, well, there are some good sticks. Some of these kids are pretty good sticks.
Yeah.
And so we have 5 tournaments this year, plus 2 online tournaments that we're using through Tourney X, so they can get out with their, kind of fish throughout the month, get some practice in, and
That's awesome.
then we have a TOC later in the year.
Sweet.
So,
And then so one thing about the show, like why I had you on the show, you recently how new is your Hobie? Did you just get that Hobie or have you been fishing with it
yeah,
for
I
a little bit?
just bought that Hobie back in I think it was November. I picked it up in November. So
November.
up there at Headwaters Adventure Company up in Reading.
So I'm gonna throw, if you guys are watching live on our Facebook or YouTube, I'm gonna go ahead and throw just one picture up so you guys can kind of get a visual of Shane's rig. Now this is just a rig. This is just a picture of this view of the kayak, but as you guys can see, the double Garmin's. And why don't you just kind of walk us through your thought process, Shane? I'm gonna leave the picture up for a second. It looks
Yeah,
like you used
sure.
the Hobie H-Rail across, which is some pretty custom stuff. So
Yeah, I used the smaller Hobie. I think it's made for an Outback. and just mounted that across from that those two plates there. And then I have two Garmin 93 SVs up front. One's mainly for my side imaging, down imaging, my sonar, and then the other side I use for my Panoptics. So the one that you see on the left's more for my Panoptics, but I can flip on the mapping for that too.
Yeah.
So, but
that color scheme is really sick too, man. I mean, it's a clean
I
looking
really
boat.
do like that color.
Yeah.
Everyone tends to have the blue and the gray. I like the green and the black.
Yeah. So what kind of mounting system is that? Is that like, obviously there's like Hobie clips right there, and that clips to what kind of bracket do you have on it?
So those are the original Garmin brackets. They're actually mounted to so each graph has two Hobie H-rail plates. They have actual plates that are flat, and so I've got both Garmin's with two each, and they're super sturdy. I could actually just take my graphs off and just drive and not even worry. Nothing's going to happen to the actual the electronical backing on the graphs there.
Nice. So do you leave your pedal drives in like that, or do you take them out?
No, I take them out.
Yeah.
I use a trailer, so in theory it could stay in there. It won't, like, there's nothing down below in that section.
Yeah.
I could leave it there, but I'll be honest with you. I've got one. My previous kayak is a native Titan 13, and one day I was heading up to Lake Comanche for a Yakka Bass tournament, and I drove with my pedals in. I thought I locked them down. Well, when I got up there, they were gone. My pedals were gone.
Wow.
And so I fished the tournament, and I left a little early because the fishing was not great. And I ended up driving back, hoping I would see it on the side of the road, but I didn't see it. So that was it. $800 mistake.
I'm trying to push just bona fide as well, but I'm trying to push One Objective actually to come up with some sort of plug. I know that there's a cassette plug in the Hobies, but I'm talking about like something that will really kind of suction tight, and kind of seal off that hole really well.
I know.
It'd be sweet if a company would come out with some sort of plug, because why don't you talk about this, Shane? I feel like this is a good question that I kind of see a lot. As far as guys that, especially like they buy a kayak like this and then go bow mount and take the drive out. What is your like, I guess, meaning behind buying and I'm just going to ask the question because I see it. It's not like I'm asking you personally, because I already kind of know your answer maybe, but for guys wondering, why buy a Hobie PA14 360 and spend upwards of over $5,000 just to bow mount it?
Well, the bow mount XI3 that I have up front, I actually custom made a bracket for my Titan 13. So my Titan 13 did have an XI3 up front. The main reason I went to a Hobie PA14 was I just felt like to me, it was just a little bit cleaner of an install. Obviously was one. The number two was the 360 drive. The Titan 13, it turned, but I did like the fact that if I'm fishing shallow water, I could rely on that 360 drive to move around. And
that's the one thing that's nice about the Hobie drive is that. So do you carry it like behind your seat or something, or you have it tucked away, or do you keep it with you, or no?
I just keep it with me. I keep it inside when I'm using the motors. I just keep it on the inside. I might pull it off and just set it up front there in the front of the graphs if I need to, but.
Because my buddy that has one, he I don't know if you saw his video or not, the Ike edition one that we rigged out. Yeah. He puts his like right behind his seat, like kind of like, I guess, perpendicular in the boat. And and it seems to fit really nice right there. That's the cool thing about the drive, is like you can kind of put that drive compared to like my Propel drive on my Bonafide. Like you can't really carry that thing around with you.
No. And that was another thing, is that drive is a lot lighter than those, with the native drive for sure. It's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is if I'm in the weeds or anything like that, I was just kind of tired of lifting up the drive and getting the weeds out all the time. So,
Yeah.
but the XI3 up front, it does add a little bit of weight to that Hobie. The one thing that I did notice shortly after, and it's not a huge deal, but water does come up into that section where the drive is, especially if I'm trying to stand or anything. And it will bring water up in. And if you notice those lower rod holders, water will go down into those tubes. So,
Yeah. My buddy
I'm
had
gonna,
to seal. He had to seal those off.
yeah, I'm probably going to end up sealing them off. Not that it's a huge deal. I just don't like having water in the hole if it gets down
Yeah.
in there. I hate that.
Yeah, no one likes that. But another thing too to kind of highlight on, like, I'm kind of answering the question as well, like, why buy a pedal drive kayak to bow mount it? I think the biggest thing is for me is like having the ability to have one kayak that kind of does everything, like whether it's paddling or pedaling or motorizing it. When you buy a pedal drive kayak, you have that opportunity to, let's just say Hobie BOS comes out here, or a tournament comes out here where we need a pedal, or we just want to go leisurely pedal for exercise or whatever. We have that ability to do it as well. When you go buy a kayak that doesn't have a pedal drive, and also I feel like the pedal drive platforms, I feel like this is kind of a key highlight too, is like the pedal drive platforms, like the Hobie, like your Hobie right there, and my P127 and a Native and an Old Town PDL. The platforms of the kayaks as well are a little wider and a little bit more stout and sturdy, and it's I don't know.
Well, coming from an actual paddle, because I had my big tuna, I fished that probably one season with the big tuna, and that was paddle. And I'll tell you what, I'm a big dude, and if it's windy, I'm a big freaking sail. So, being out there trying to stay on to something, I was blowing around like crazy. And when I did go to the pedal drive with the Titan, that helped out a lot. But still, I'm a big dude, and it will blow me around. So that's where that XI3 came in
There's
handy.
nothing like pressing that anchor button, huh?
There isn't.
Whether you're eating a sandwich or rigging up or fishing, it's just the best.
I know. Especially if it's windy and you need to tie something on, maybe you broke off, you need to retie or whatever. If you're down and looking down trying to tie something on, shoot, you could be 50 yards away before you know it.
Yeah. Same with like submitting a fish. Like you're on a spot. Let's just say you're on a rock pile and that rock pile's on fire and you catch a fish and you don't have spot lock. All of a sudden, like you said, you're like 50 yards away and you got to go back and find that angle and find that rock, and it's just like a pain. And if you have the XI3 and you're on that rock pile, you've never moved from the time you've landed the fish to the time you submitted the fish to the time you stand up to cast again. You haven't moved.
No. Yeah.
Which is key.
Yeah. It's
and that's how you catch fish back to back.
The only thing I really wish would work is Garmin does not communicate to the motor guide. And I it's the one thing that I'm just like, really, why can we not just make a simple platform across everything? Because it would be nice to be able to just, hit waypoint, go to, and just let it take you to it. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing I really wish that Garmin would work on trying to integrate that. But
yeah, and I mean, let's just see what happens in the future. But at the same time, too, like I have Lowrance graphs, and I'll get to my kayak in a second. But just kind of talking on that subject of like the NEMA is what you're talking about, the NEMA system.
Yeah, the NEMA system.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what's funny is like when we were rigging my kayak previously, my SS127 last year, I had it all rigged up, carried it a great job, tying it all in and everything. But dude, the NEMA system there's a lot of cords that go with that thing, dude. Like it is like a spider web kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at it all, and it was in my kayak, and it all looked good, but I don't know. There's something about going almost, and I have a lot, but almost going too much. I get kind of nervous of like electrical fails and stuff like that too, and like having too much going on. Like having your motor get all freaked out because you have so many things connected to it. And so I don't know. I took my NEMA system out and I don't use it. And I have my waypoints and I have my motor guide and I manually go to my waypoints and stuff. And at the end of the day, I feel like it would be nice, but at the same time, it's kind of like I'm content with everything I got going on at the same time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten by with it without
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I do have a NEMA network because I had to in order to. I do have the Garmin SteadyCast, so I had to integrate it that way. But you
Talk
know,
about the SteadyCast really quick, because they all have them.
sure.
Like Humminbird has it, Lowrance has it, like the pucks and stuff. So I guess why and what is the main advantage of that? I know the answer.
So
I'm just asking the question.
yeah, so if anybody out there has a graph and you pull up onto a rock pile, a brush pile, or a point or anything, and you know, if you ever notice your icon every time you think you're sitting on that and it keeps moving, you know, left and right, and you can't stay locked on your boat, your kayak doesn't stay locked on. That's where the Garmin SteadyCast is. I think it's a 3-point axis GPS. So you have to run it through it has to do like some, when you program it, you do some circles. And what it does is it basically reads that coordinates. So that way, when you do go to a waypoint, that icon, your boat icon on your graph is pointed right on the direction that you're constantly casting.
Yeah, which is
So
huge for casting at rock
it
piles and
is.
stuff and
It
waypoint.
is because otherwise you got to use a marker. You know, you got to throw a buoy marker out there and know exactly. Otherwise, you're lost. You don't know where you're sitting.
Unless you have perspective mode or scout mode.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's get into that.
Mm-hmm.
What is your overall thoughts on Livescope? What do you think about it, and how do you use it? How does Shane Jones use it?
So I use it periodically through the day. I like to throw it down, just see if I see any fish swimming around. That's the main thing. It's very. I think maybe one time out of the last year, I've actually seen a fish come up and hit something on an A rig or a jerkbait. I try not to spend time on it. I use it as a tool, but I don't use it as, oh, there's fish there. I'm going to stay there for, however long it's going to take and throw 30 different baits at it in hopes to catch something.
Yeah.
I use it more for a tool more than anything. See if I see fish suspended more, or are they more locked to the bottom.
What
But
mode do you find yourself using the most, like perspective, down, or forward?
I use forward majority of the time. Now, if I'm locked on, with spot lock and, I'm on school fish or something, I might just throw it into down mode. So I have I forgot the name of it. It's a special, you know, Garmin transducer mount that goes on the actual transducer, and I can turn it and move it and put it into whatever position I want. I think this year I think it's called the Fishing Specialties, mount. So it's very solid.
Yeah, it's the
I
same one I
had one.
use.
Yeah, I have one that I jerry rigged and made the last year, and it worked fine.
Yeah,
But
me
this
too.
one's just super
Yeah.
solid.
Oh yeah, I had my buddy made me like a little PVC one, and it worked great. Like it worked, but this one, it's just clean and easy and nice. And
Yeah.
have you cut your shaft of it down, or have you cut the handle down on it at all? Or are you kind of leaving it how it is?
No, I just leave it how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I thought about like maybe cutting it down, and then I had it out there and I was using it, and I was like, I don't know. I kind of like the bigger handle. I kind of like how tall it is. It's kind of, I don't have to reach way down. I don't have to move, too far down and stuff. So
yeah, and where
I
I
feel like it's a
have
good
it,
height.
yeah, where I have it, it doesn't get in the way at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then when you pick up and go, it kind of clips to the side or something, or where do you put it?
yeah, I kind of did what you guys did for the red kayak. I just used those rod
Like,
for
yeah, I
rod
know.
lockers, that little thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually fits on the back of the atrial right along the kayak, and it fits perfect. So I only have to use one of those and just strap it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, that's definitely a plus about the PA14. You got room all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big deck.
Well, and then I picked up a couple of those Yak Gadget T-Tracks, the atrial T-Track things. those are
Okay.
pretty solid too. So it holds my GoPro, my stern light, and
Yeah.
I've got another section up in the middle if I need it. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, what other kind of things do you got going on in your kayak? Do you have what's it called? The hydro wave or anything like that? Or
I got no hydro wave. I got a
you got
buddy
the
that
XI you
uses
got the
it.
XI3, the kayak
I
one,
got an
right?
XI3 up
55 pound.
front, and then in the back I've got the Newport Vessel NK180S.
Okay.
And I'm running a 24 volt, 50 amp on that motor for the Newport, an ionic battery. And then so I went to a 12 volt 50 amp for the bow mount because my logic for that is,
Yeah, you use the
um,
back.
I could use the back motor to get to point A or point B. And then if I need to use the XI3, I can. Never
Depending
once.
depending on what circuit you fish.
Yeah, it depends on the circuit, you do fish. And that's the other thing. I designed the whole thing. So if I'm, majority of the time, I'm going to use the rear motor, majority of the time. The only time I really foresee is like, I think Saturday up at Shasta, it's supposed to be blowing pretty good. I might, throw the XI3 up front so I could spot lock. But I could take the battery out. It easily removable, and then I don't have that extra weight in there at all. So
Speaking of batteries, what kind of batteries are you running on each of your graphs? And also you have to power the black box as well. So what is your overall batteries for your two graphs and your Livescope?
so I'm using the Ionic 12 volt 50 amp hour battery, and I've gone out there and I've had Livescope on for 8 hours. I've had both graphs going pretty much 80 to 95% brightness. And when I get off the water, I still have 50% left. No problem on those graphs.
So that's
Run
like
that battery.
26, like kind of 26 per unit.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of that's for the black box as well.
Yeah.
So
I
one
forgot
battery running everything.
Yeah. One battery running run all the graphs. So I have 3 separate batteries. So I have
Oh, okay.
I have a 12 volt 50 amp running my graphs and my Panoptics. I have another 12 volt 50 amp running my XI3 that is in my crate. I have a custom made big crate.
Yeah.
And then my 24 volt is also in that crate too.
Who made your crate? Did you make it?
Yeah, I made the crate.
Nice.
So
How
it's
many
kind of
rod
like
tubes? How many rod tube holders?
I got 7 rod tube holders and custom made it with extruded aluminum. So all of them will, be held on with like a T-track type ordeal.
Yeah.
And then when you open the lid, the actual rods will, tilt back with the actual lid. So they're all out of the way. I could fully open the lid.
Nice.
And then just integrated it with a USB to, charge a GoPro or, any of my lights for stern.
So just for fun, and this is just kind of a fun thing to say. How much do you think you got invested in your kayak?
Oh, geez.
Just a round rough number. Just a round rough. You got to have that round rough. You have it.
It's probably it. I mean, the glitter boat guys are gonna laugh at this, but I probably have well over 12 or 13,000 into it, at least.
Okay, I asked that question because this is the thing I'm gonna say. You have that much invested, but if you were to have that much invested in a bass boat, that bass boat wouldn't look like your kayak.
No.
Because the bass boat, in order for your bass boat to look and have the same functionalities as your kayak, you're looking at like at least like a $30,000 boat, easily, maybe even more. I'm talking like to kind of have the same, you got double screens right there. You got the XI3 in the front with spot lock, and if you have those things on a bass boat, it just ups the value of the bass boat too. So like a $12,000 kayak is sort of like having I'm going to say this, sort of like having like a $40,000-$50,000 bass boat. So that's just my feel on it, with all your batteries and everything. And then on, bass boat guys can make fun of us all we want, but at the end of the day, like, we're kayak fishermen and we fish kayak tournaments and we fish out of a kayak. Like, it's our kayak. Like, we can't have a bass boat in a kayak tournament. So we make our kayaks as close as we can to a bass boat.
The funny thing is, I do have a boat. I do have a boat. And to be honest with you, I enjoy taking the kids out. I enjoy, going and fishing with the family, but I enjoy the kayaks so much more. And, when I take that boat out, I don't worry, if something's going to happen. If one of the motors on the kayak goes out, well, shoot, I got my pedal. And then if the pedal has an issue, I have a paddle with me at all times. But but the other thing too, that I will tell anybody is being on a kayak has actually made me a better fisherman overall, like all around, just because, and you know this too. I mean, we can't cover as much water. Yeah, we can cover okay amount. But we can't make a 30-mile run upriver if we want to, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So you have to stick around and figure those fish out.
No doubt. That's the truth for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and just throw my kayak up because we're kind of going over both of our rigs. So this is my new kayak. I don't know if you guys saw my YouTube walkthrough or not, but we released a walkthrough on Bass Thumbs Fishing YouTube. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I had Shane on the show as well, because we both kind of went the same direction as far as like having double graphs. We got XI3s and we got lithium batteries all over it. I got the active target on mine. So one thing that I'll ask you, Shane, I don't know, did you happen to watch that video or not? Or
yeah, I did.
Okay, so what did you think about where I put my catch board?
I think it was pretty cool.
So I know that, it depends on what kayak that you have, but my thought on it was, again, like, I kind of understand how, where it's placed, I guess. I guess a fish could maybe board flop, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a nice thing. And I wanted to do it and kind of start a conversation about that, I guess, about like that if kayak companies could in the future, innovate areas like that in our kayaks where we could have our catch boards either A, out of the way, or B, like we never have to move them, which is really cool about where I put mine, because I went out and fished in it and it was so sick I didn't have to move it or do anything. It's just right there and I measure my fish.
Well, are you able to put a net to the side of it in case that fish does flop?
No, I can, but okay. Honestly, like, I use fish monkey gloves and like I kind of, how you can just like understand like what the fish is like feeling, like you could tell like how tense it is or what. So like you just gotta have like a little bit of like awareness, I would say. And I'm gonna try it this year and I will let you guys know if I regret it. But you'll probably see it on YouTube flopping maybe, but I don't think it's going to, because I've kind of put my catch board in that similar spot just without it being right there anyways. And I've only lost like one fish in like my whole life of a board flop, and I've never put a net out ever. So I know it does happen, but it's just something that I'm trying out. So
yeah, well, and I think I mean, do you use a donkey leash at all?
Yeah.
So I usually, if I know, you could tell when you pull that fish up, if you know that fish is tense, especially a spotted bass, those things are angry as anything, I always throw it in the water, let it chill for a little bit, and then,
for sure, and
you
want to put some water on your board, and and those fish monkey gloves, that grip I got, I mean, I can hold that fish, bro. Like I could, that fish doesn't really go anywhere.
Death grip locked in.
Yeah. So I don't know, just something kind of new that I did. You guys can kind of see it in the picture. It's like right there in front of my graphs. But like I said, it's forward enough to where I never ever have to move it. And it's also cool because it kind of acts like a little rigging table right there. Like I can put like my tackle box on it when I'm like rigging my finesse stuff or whatever. It's kind of like a little table too, which is kind of cool and different. Kerry at OEX did an insane job on my mount for those double graphs. He integrated the propel drive pipe that clips into the front clips right there, like you'll see on native drives and this new Bonafide P127 drive. He basically took a pipe in that same form and created that mount, so that mount just clips in, and kind of like what Shane talked about earlier with his graphs. I can just unclip the mount and the whole mount just comes off and the cables just lay in the kayak, which is so sick that I can just take it on and off. Kind of like what you talked about.
Yeah.
In the front hatch, I got the active target with an 18 amp lithium battery. I got the one objective plate on the front with the XI3. It's kind of cut off in the photo, but the XI3 is on there. I got the red and green lights on both sides. And then did you do red and green lights too?
So I haven't made a decision on that yet. I'm just using some cheap Amazon things attached to my H-rail right now. I haven't decided if I want to, just integrate it onto the one objective mount. Or go to what, kind of like what you did.
Yeah. So one of the things that I forgot, and I kind of forgot to mention in the video, is that I'm using the FPV powered distribution hub.
Okay.
So I have the lights and I have the active target box hooked to the distribution hub, and the distribution hub has a tiny little remote, like probably half the size of the XI3 remote. So I can turn the lights off with the push of a button on my remote, which will be in my vest. And then I can also power off the active target with just the push of the button as well, which is kind of cool. I forgot to highlight that in my walkthrough.
I use the Yak Power. I have the Yak Power, and it's similar to the FPV. And mine just Bluetooths to the my phone, and I could just turn it on and off if I want to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I got the fishing specialties mount, 2 HDS Live 7s, by the way. And then the fishing specialty mount is on the right side over there. And then I got the one objective accessory plate, and I got like 2 PVC clips, and I matched the diameter of the fishing specialties, and it clips right into that plate, so it's out of the way when I'm making a run. And then right behind the seat, I got a 100 amp lithium Dakota lithium, and then I wish I had a picture of it, but right behind the battery, I did a Pelican case, and the Pelican case has 2 23 amp lithium batteries. They're not in sync. They're separately charged, or they're separately powering each graph. The active target has an 18 amp lithium battery in the front hatch powering the active target box. So I got 2 23 amps in that Pelican case powering each graph. And then the black pack is completely empty. So I kind of wanted to have that completely empty just for my kayak to have ultimate, storage spot for my tackle. Because I don't have as much room as like the Hobie guys or like other kayaks.
Yeah.
And then I think I got 8 rod tube holders around the black pack. And then I use a couple AR tubes by Yak Attack. And that's pretty much it. And like the like the clickbait title says, $10,000 tournament kayak. It's a little over, but it's right around there. And honestly, I couldn't be more happy with it. It's super fun to see the end result, huh? And you're out there and it's just like dialed in.
It is. And being able to customize it the way you want it.
Oh yeah. That's the funnest part about kayak rigging. You can just do it however you want to do it.
And my word of advice to anybody would be like, sit down and just draw it all out first. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you might get in the middle of it and go, oops, I should have thought of it a different way, just draw everything out before you start really trying to customize it.
And I know obviously that there's 2 different types of, I guess, kayak anglers. There's the guys that know how to rig really well, like Shane. You could just do like a great job on your boat like you did personally, but not everyone's that gifted as far as like rigging things out, and that's okay. And that's why it's good to take it to guys like Kerry and pay the labor fee, but be really happy with how it turns out, because Kerry or like Rommel up north, the Wizard, you know, those two guys pretty much are now covering like the whole state, and it's
Yeah.
cool to see both those guys kind of do their thing and have the ability to rig guys kayaks out the way that they want them. And you know, it's just been cool the last couple of years seeing all the new innovative things.
I know. And Romel up here, I mean, that guy gets, I mean, he takes it a whole different level, and some of that stuff is the cleanest stuff I've ever seen.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, he's on a whole different level than even what I can do.
Oh yeah.
So
He loves that
you know,
carbon fiber.
yeah, the carbon fiber,
Which makes
all
sense
the,
because it's light and it's super durable.
it is,
Like it's
it is,
perfect for the kayak stuff. So
it is.
let's see. So that's pretty much like the logistics. One thing that I kind of wanted to cover too that Shane touched on too is that I use my active target a little bit different than Shane. I feel like each angler uses it a little bit different. But the way that I use mine is I have it on scout mode like 90% of the time. And I almost use it like a 360. I use it to find offshore rock piles, and I can see exactly where they're at in front of me. And then I just make repeated casts on the rock piles, and I can see fish swimming on the rock piles too because it's live. And you know, it's just a great way to find structure, to keep casting at structure around it. Or you know, you can kind of see like rock pile, and then that hard spot in between. You know, like that highway that you can accurately cast to. The tree that's just to your left that you may not see if you didn't have it. That's the main way I use it. And the cool thing about scout mode is that, and not a lot of guys, I don't hear a lot of guys talk about this, but you can use it in 25, 30 feet, and you can use it in 5 feet, which is really cool. Like you can use it in all depths. And it's not, you know, the best when it comes to like watching the fish hit your bait. As like forward you could really see them, you know, track your bait and hit it. But I feel like for me right now, I just don't have the confidence and the time to sit there and play video games like that. For me, it's like scout mode. It's like I can see everything in front of me, and that's a huge advantage for me.
Yeah.
So that's the way I use it.
Yeah, I mean, and I use it similar, you know, and really, you just gotta get out there and spend time with the thing. You know what I mean? I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I've probably used perspective mode once or twice, you know, but I only use perspective mode if I'm in more shallow water. You know, I won't. You know,
well,
these
try
deeper
it.
lakes that we're fishing.
Try it offshore one time and just see what you think. Like in 25, 30 feet on like rock piles.
Okay.
And if you're in 25 or 30 feet, you got to put it out at least like 60 feet out. Because you're making up for the depth of the water for the fan.
Sure.
If you're in 30 feet of water and you put it at 30 feet out, you're not going to see anything because you're just going to hit the bottom. So you got to double like your depth of whatever you're in as far as distance wise, and you'll be able to see a lot in front of you. It's pretty sick. Like, cause it fans out, you know, like it's like, it's like a 180. It's like, instead of a 360, it's like a 180. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways, so kind of like that was pretty good. There was a lot of information there. I hope you guys, you know, like that little piece of us talking about why we rigged our kayaks and why we didn't buy bass boats. And, but, so Shane, for 2022, you are just about to hop in here. This episode is going to air Saturday, so you'll be on the water as this thing's airing. But you're going to head up to Shasta, right, for the California Bass Nation and the Wildlife.
Yeah, and leave here in just in a few hours. Actually, at 2 a.m. I'm leaving.
So how are you feeling? I think I saw you got some practice in, right?
Yeah, I got some practice in up there.
And how do you feel? Because you could talk about it because this isn't going to go live till the tournament, so it'll be too late.
Yeah. You know, I won't lie. It definitely was a little tough. I did get into a decent spinnerbait bite. I did pick up a decent one, you know, early. But after that, I just, you know, had to focus on a little deeper water. Those fish were a little shallow, though. I mean, I was catching fish in 5 to 10 feet of water,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that water moving up, because it has kind of come up from the snow melt. I mean, obviously the rain, the lake has come up a little bit, but I'll tell you what, that water is like, it's brown, dark green. So it's not like the clear water that, we've been used to, because all that timber and stuff coming down.
Am I losing
I
you?
lost you. Yeah, I think I lost you there.
Am I here
you're
now?
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Well, like I said, like just best of luck out there at Shasta. Hopefully you hopefully you take it home. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you gonna be throwing those Bass Union jigs?
Yeah, I'm gonna be yeah. Bass Union jigs, A-rigs, Joe makes some great stuff. I mean my confidence is definitely in that jig.
Yeah.
So
are you what are your plans? What else are your plans for 2022? What do you got going on this year?
So this year I'm planning on fishing the Kayak Pro Tour. And then I'm going to be fishing the California Bass Nation, the Wild West. And then, I'm going to fish whatever else I can, just like anything, all of us anglers get spread pretty thin when it comes to budgeting money for all these tournaments. I had a goal last year and I didn't really, achieve it this year. I really would like to be able to qualify for the Bass Nation National Championship, get back east and go fish one of those tournaments back there. So that's definitely a goal this year. And definitely fish some of the Yakka Bass tournaments. I'm hoping I could pick up at least, I got to look at my schedule. The Maloney's up at for the ABA. I would love to try to come fish out too. But with the whole Gold Country thing, I've got to look at the schedule.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the cool thing about the ABA events too is like if even if you only can fish one, it's still good payouts and it's a 2-day event and it's going to be fun. Even if you could just do one, 2-day event or 2-day events are kind of where the sport I think is heading overall. And it's just fun to fish for 2 days, have the campground vibes and just fishing for 2 whole days, have an excuse to fish 2 whole days.
I know, right? Third, if you go up there and pre-fish.
Exactly.
But,
third,
if the rules allow it,
So. All right. Well, dude, best of luck this year, and thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
I greatly appreciate this. Thank you, Shane.
Yeah. So, what's your biggest goal this year? What's Shane Jones's biggest goal for the kayak scene for 2022? Let's do 2 goals. Let's do like a I guess a reality goal and a dream goal. 2 goals.
All right. Dream goal would definitely be catch a double digit. I mean, I have not caught a double digit yet. I've caught plenty of 7-8 pounders, but I've not come close to a double digit. But I would really love to at least win another tournament this year. Last year I won the California Open, Wild West California Open up here at Lake Tolek. Everyone else went to Clear Lake, and I think a couple guys, gals fished down in Southern California. I was able to pull, I think it was 98 inches out of Lake Tolek.
Nice.
So I would really like to win another tournament for sure.
Awesome.
What about you?
Man, for some reason I've just been having that itch to get back, or not to get back, but to get to the 10 house. I don't know why, but that's just one dream goal that I don't know what it is this year. I just feel like we'll see what happens.
Nice.
But that's my dream goal. I guess a reality goal for me is to win a couple of the big series out here. I won one last year with the ABA down at Otay, and going for 2 this year. 2 wins.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And maybe an
Well,
AOI. We all want AOI, but maybe an
you're one
AOI.
heck good of a stick, man. So
Oh,
I
thanks.
know you
Likewise to
come up
you.
here to North California and fish. I know you're going to be sticking in at least top 10. So
Thanks, man. And likewise too. We gotta get some of you guys down south, man. We gotta
I
trade
know,
blows because I come up there and like, man, I don't know what's going on. You guys got to come down here a little bit and battle with
I
us.
know, I know, I know. And I think Wild West, I think it is, has one out in
Yep. At
Otay, I
Otai.
think. So
Yep.
I'm gonna see what I could do my best to get down there for
Picture
sure.
Otai like a tiny clear lake. That's
Is it
Otai.
really?
Yeah. A lot of
Nice.
tules, grass, and a little bit of offshore rock, but mostly tules and grass. And you can catch them punching. You can catch them Cinco. You can catch a frog. Don't throw a frog; it doesn't work there.
Or the opposite, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, kind of to wrap the show up, Shane, go ahead and shout out. I know that you got quite a few awesome sponsors. Wait, one thing really quick before we let you go.
Sure.
I bought a pack of Spear Point finesse. What are they? The finesse
GP
GPs?
finesse hooks. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been seeing
Yeah.
you guys' posts. I've been seeing a ton of posts about them and that weird angle. And I had it on a drop shot and a Nico, and that thing was just stuck in the roof of the mouth. Like I had
So
trouble getting it out.
yeah. So those spear point hooks with the V-lock, they call it the V-lock. I'll tell you what, my confidence when I started using those hooks over a year ago, my confidence went through the roof. I mean, I think I might have lost one fish all year on one of those hooks, and it was my fault too. It was my line broke. It had nothing to do with the hook or anything.
What
So
size GP do you use on your, let's just say like your drop shot? 2 or
my
1?
drop shot, I'll use like a number 2,
Yeah.
maybe a number 3. Now, if I'm fishing Tolic and I know or anywhere, maybe Clear Lake or whatever, and I'm having to go down to a drop shot or something like that, some of those bigger fish, I might go to a 1/0, maybe a 2/0. It just
Yeah.
really depends on the situation.
What about Nico
If
rigs? You throw
Nico
Nico rig?
rigs, no, I don't.
Yeah, don't.
I really don't throw a
Don't.
Nico rig a whole
Don't.
lot.
It doesn't it doesn't
Right,
don't
right.
don't throw it.
No, it's not that I mean that rig definitely works. I just have never tried it.
Yeah,
So,
don't.
um,
I'm just kidding.
so,
No. Yeah, the number
but
2, the
no,
number 2 seems like a good size kind of overall.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Number 2 is probably one of the more popular sizes for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, those hooks, I'll tell you what, in the whole new lineup coming up, I think they're talking maybe by April we should start seeing some of the newer stuff.
I think I saw a Ned rig. Or
Uh,
no.
I don't think there's some things in the works.
Okay.
But if you get into a Ned rig, and I'm even thinking down the road if we can get it so it's designed so it can be integrated into a jig. Oh man, that'd just be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got the punch hook coming out. They got an offset worm hook coming out.
Nice.
They got a trailer hook coming out for your spinner baits, things like that. So
Nice. No, I'm telling you, dude, I was at Sportsman's Warehouse and I saw a pack and I was like, I'm gonna get some. And I got them and I used it and I was like, dang. Because I normally use like the VMC Nico hook, which is a really good hook as well. And I also use the Gamakatsu Aaron's like the finesse G Sniper finesse or whatever it is. But I don't know. Might have to go to that orange and blue.
You may find yourself. It's the only thing I use, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Shane,
but yeah, no.
Take this time right now and just thank your sponsors or thank whoever supports you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up.
Great. Well, I really want to thank Joe with Bass Union, Eric Art with Spear Point, P-Line. I've also got 5150 Plastics out there in Arizona. If you guys, go check them out. They have a 5150 formula on their kind of a garlicky smell. I'll tell you what, you know, you don't, and it's not like, you know, you take the worm out and it's super oily or anything. And then also first gen fishing. And then, of course, my work is sponsoring me this year, Raised Carpet One out here in Modesto. So, and
Awesome,
Wicked
man. Well,
Waves.
nice. Where can people follow you on social media?
So just Facebook at Shane Jones, and then on Instagram, Shane Jones Fishing. So
Awesome, man. Well, again, thanks for coming on the Bass Nose Fishing Podcast. Really appreciate you coming on the show, and best of luck this year. And I'm sure I'll see you on the water eventually.
we will soon. Thank you, Shane. Have a good rest of the weekend.
Yeah, you too. Well, that does it for today's episode, guys. Shane, thanks again for coming on. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, you can go on Bass Nose Fishing on social media as far as YouTube and Instagram goes. And got a lot of cool things coming up this year in California. Can't wait to get the season started. And again, best of luck this weekend, Shane. And
Thank you.
as always, keep your thumbs ripped.